In 2025, Americans aren't just broke, they're reliving in a bizarre economic circus where the price of everything keeps going up. But the tightrope they're re-walking on, also known as their paycheck, is somehow getting thinner every month. And at this point, most of us feel like circus clowns juggling flaming bills instead of bowling pins. Wages have been moving slower than a grandma in a crosswalk, while housing prices, grocery bills, utility costs, and medical expenses are running marathons on Red Bull. And according to the latest Federal Reserve report, 61% of adults say their incomes are not keeping up with the rising cost of living, which is economists speak for "we're drowning. Please send snacks and cash." Housing, the so-called cornerstone of the American dream, is now the financial equivalent of trying to adopt a pet tiger. Technically possible, but it will ruin you. Median home prices nationwide have surged past $420 in 2025, up over 5% from last year, and mortgage rates, though down slightly from their 2023 peaks, are still hovering around 6.5%, which means that even if you manage to scrape together a down payment, your monthly payment will feel like you're refinancing a luxury yacht you don't even get to sail. Rent isn't much better, with the national median rent sitting at around $2,100 a month. And in cities like New York, San Francisco, and Miami, good luck finding anything under $3 unless you're willing to live in a cozy, converted broom closet with a window the size of a laptop screen. Grocery shopping, once a mundane, now feels like participating in a game show called Guess the Total, except instead of winning a prize, you just lose the will to live when the cashier says, "That'll be $187 for what you thought was a light shopping trip." The USDA says food at home prices are up another 4.5% this year, building on the 20% climb we saw between 2020 and 2023. So yes, your favorite cereal is basically a luxury item now, and eggs are so expensive they should come with a security guard. People are switching to store brands, cutting meat consumption, and learning how to make dinner out of whatever's left in the pantry, which usually means a sad combo of instant ramen, canned corn, and existential dread. Utility bills, meanwhile, have become the villain of 2025. The average electricity bill this summer hit $784, the highest in over a decade, and in parts of Texas, Louisiana, and New England, households are staring down bills closer to $1,000 a month just to keep the AC running, which makes climate change not only an environmental issue but a personal financial hit. The total utility debt in the US is now around $24 billion, with 21 million households behind on payments. And when asked why, most people say something along the lines of, "Because I like eating more than I like my lights on. Thanks." Healthcare is another beast entirely. Medical debt in the US sits at roughly $88 billion, with about 40% of adults carrying some form of it. And in 2025, nearly 1 in 5 Americans admitted to skipping a medical bill because they simply couldn't afford it. Even people with insurance are getting slammed with copays and prescription prices that make you wonder if your doctor accidentally charged you for a small surgery every time you pick up antibiotics. And it's not just the bills themselves. Medical debt wrecks credit scores, which then makes borrowing more expensive, which then makes the rest of life more expensive. So basically, the American healthcare system is the gift that keeps on taking. Transportation is also eating a chunk of people's paychecks. Gas prices in 2025 are averaging around $3.90 a gallon nationally. Car insurance is up nearly 20% year over year, and auto loan interest rates are still above 7%, which means your car costs more to own than your first apartment did. And if you think taking the bus will save you, congratulations. You've now traded financial pain for psychological pain. Debt in general is ballooning like your uncle's belly after Thanksgiving dinner. Credit card debt hit a record $1.14 trillion this year, with the average household carrying over $8,000 in balances and interest rates sitting at an average of 20.7%, which means your $30 takeout splurge will cost you $80 if you ride the minimum payment train. 27% of Americans have no emergency savings at all, and among millennials and Gen Z, that number's even higher, which makes sense when you consider that more than half of people under 35 say they couldn't take over a $1,000 emergency without borrowing, selling something, or starting a GoFundMe. It's not that people don't want to save, it's that by the time rent, utilities, groceries, gas, insurance, and debt payments are made, the savings section of the budget looks like a desert. Even people who technically have good incomes aren't immune. A recent survey found that 71% of households earning over $100,000 say they feel financially strained, which means being upper middle class in 2025 is kind of like having front row seats on the Titanic. You still sink, you just see the iceberg first. Financial anxiety is at record highs, with 85% of Americans saying they're as worried or more worried about paying their bills than they were last year. And this stress is warping life decisions. -60% of adults say they've delayed or abandoned major milestones like buying a home, getting married, or having kids because they can't afford it. And more than half say they've cut back on basic leisure activities like eating out, traveling, or buying clothes, which means the fun in life is getting rationed like bread during wartime. The psychological toll is heavy. It is hard to plan for the future when you're constantly playing financial whack-a-mole with bills, debt collectors, and late fees. People are making impossible trade-offs every month, like deciding between paying the electric bill or buying groceries, filling a prescription or making rent, fixing the car or paying the phone bill, and no matter which one you pick, the others just keep piling up. Missed payments, damaged credit. Damaged credit makes borrowing more expensive. More expensive borrowing leads to more missed payments. It is like an economic Groundhog Day where every morning you wake up broke and every night you go to bed broke. And let's not forget the pandemic-era safety nets that briefly helped: expanded unemployment benefits, eviction moratoriums, enhanced SNAP aid, utility shut-off protections, all rolled back, leaving people to tread water in a storm without a life vest. If there's humor to be found in all this, it is in the sheer absurdity of what counts as normal now: paying $17 for a fast food combo meal, shelling out $80 a month for streaming services only to watch the same 3 shows, being told by financial experts to cut back on lattes, as if the $6 you spend at Starbucks is the thing keeping you from buying a house. Seeing houses listed as affordable that cost $2,500 a month in rent, or being advised to save 3 to 6 months of expenses when you can barely save 3 to 6 days worth. In 2025, Americans aren't just struggling with the cost of living. Restarring in a tragic comedy where the punchlines are real-life bills, the plot twists are grocery receipts, and the happy ending is finding $5 in a coat pocket. And until wages catch up, housing costs calm down, healthcare gets reined in, and inflation stops being the clingy ex-boyfriend of the economy, the national pastime 1TB baseball, it'll be trying to survive another month without going completely broke.